Kroger announced that they were closing 60 of their store locations across the United States. This was interesting to me as it's not very often that you see a big grocery store chain choose to close locations. As I was walking through the produce section, I noticed it still had a lot of produce in it compared to the other sections of the store, along with the bread section. And I wonder if these two sections are required to be stocked with them being open, or if they just had more long-standing shipments in place compared to some of the other sections. They had a little cart over here with some manager specials on it, just things that were being clearanced out, including some candles and some sauce there. This was a pretty like boring section of the store. Over to my right is the normally like the bacon and prepared meats. It had a little bit left, but not a whole lot. The actual meat section had a lot less than it had, in a usual time, but there was still some meat left. They didn't really have any discounts on the meat, which I think could contribute to them still having a lot of meat left in comparison to the freezer section, which they had a lot less out. They had the fish section entirely closed. Out down here, no fish out to buy, while the frozen meat section had a lot of frozen meats left. There was only a 20% off on the frozen meat, while the rest of the frozen section had a higher discount to it, which I think contributes to it still being around. The snacks had 40% off to 60% off, and they were pretty picked over, but there were still some items left in the store. Those crackers look pretty good. I continued to walk around and looked over at the drink section. There still were a lot of drinks, and there weren't really any discounts on drinks. And some of the displays had two store number, like they were going to send them to a different Kroger location. And a big reason that I think this store in particular closed is that there are 3 Krogers within a 4-mile distance along the same road, which simply is too many Krogers in one area. Which is probably also why it's still a busy store compared to if a store that wasn't that busy was closing. I walked down the nut aisle right here, and the nuts are 60% off, and I'm tempted to buy some, but I don't buy any nuts. But I was tempted. I was tempted by the jerky sticks for $1. The one thing that's unique about this Kroger is they had a lot of managers writing signs where like the manager wrote down a price and put it on a display, which isn't something that you see very often at chain grocery stores. I continue walking more towards the back of the store. There's some more snacks. There's another one of those signs that says it's going to another store. The eggs were pretty well stocked. Same with the prepared crescent rolls. We got coffee creamers. There's a little tiny clearance section in the middle for some of the cold stuff. And then there's another clearance section in this back corner, which this clearance section they always had. This isn't a new feature of the store. There's some clearance cans. And this is some more cold stuff that's still pretty empty. 60% off on it though, so I can't imagine it would be there much longer. And then some 20% off. I put my phone down to my feet here because there were some kids walking around and I didn't want to film them. There's some juice on the right. And then we're about to be in the pharmacy section. The pharmacy section was definitely very empty. It's not very many times that you get sales on that sort of stuff, I suppose. 60% off of the pharmacy items there. And then over in the bakery section, almost every single bakery item had one of the reduced stickers on it. I contemplated here picking up some stuff, and I think I did pick up one item. Every single one of these rolls had the clearance sticker on it, and I imagine they had entirely shut down their bakery. This hot bar, cold bar thing, there were only a few items there, and it seemed like they had entirely shut down their meat cutting department, their deli meat department. It seemed like it was all done. Right here is the inside of one of those cold refrigerators. but it's missing the part that covers it. So you just see the motors whirling and they still have it on. And then we get over to some of more of the prepared goods that are 50% off. And they had a bunch of wine that was on clearance here as well. And that's it for me. There were too many people towards the front of the store here for me to continue filming. I noticed that the cash registers were entirely done. They only had self-checkout. It was interesting to see a store that was closing, and I get a lot of my influence from Retail Archaeology, who I've been watching for years, and I love his videos of stores that are going out of business. And I hope you enjoyed this video as well. Thank you. Bye.